You know, I was going to wear the Undertaker costume, but even though it's fall, it's Florida, it's hot as balls right now, so I'm just gonna... Boo? Hey guys, it's CSDX and welcome to this video. Alice, you're back! Alice in Wonderland is probably one of the more well-known fairy tales, having been penned by Lewis Carroll. Now, we all know about the Disney adaptation and the two really freaking terrible live-action garbage shoots, but the story of Alice can actually be really messed up. Yeah, I've never read the original stories, but I have seen some about Alice showcased in the classic Grimm's fairy tales. They are really screwed up! Of course, like most books and movies, there are games about them, specifically an unofficial sequel series by one American McGee. He ended up releasing one titled American McGee's Alice for the PC in 2000, and it got some good reviews, but didn't really sell all that well, it seems. Although Edge magazine did claim that it's the USA's 47th best-selling computer game since January 2000. Remember that this was before Steam took off. However, EA Loot Boxes Are Life Games still opted to provide funding for a sequel that would be released 11 years later. How was it? Well, according to Metacritic anyway, people ended up viewing it a tiny bit less favorably than its predecessor. Is it that bad? No, it can't be, right? Doesn't deserve only a 70-75, maybe more, right? Well, that's kind of why I'm making this video. And also because one of my favorite YouTubers, being Josh Scorcher, aka The Fiery Joker, really enjoys this one. So, let's give this whoops a whirl! Oh hey, EA turned into a monster of some kind. Just like real life. So the game starts off with some kind of pop-up book, paper cutout sort of animation, and this style does show up from time to time. Given the macro-based style, it's definitely welcome. And then it gets gruesome.
Something wrong?
Lock that dream. Wake at the sound.
What? Alice then wakes up, and I use that loosely, in her therapist's room, their session having just ended. Turns out that Alice has been staying in an orphanage since the events of the last game, and regularly sees her hypnotherapist, Dr. Angus Bumby, who helps his patients forget their worst memories, with Alice's being that her family died in a fire that she blamed herself for. Okay, I immediately don't trust him. I mean, yeah, hypnotherapy's a profession, and I'm sure it helps people, but I just don't trust the idea of someone hypnotizing you to forget things and all that, and just like whatever else. It's like, ugh. On her way to the pharmacy to get her meds, she gets distracted by a cat. You know, I honestly don't blame her. She clearly has her priorities straight.
Puss, 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 puss.
Along the way, she encounters an old lady who asks to help with the pigeons. And then, literally out of nowhere, Alice suffers a hallucination and is suddenly in Wonderland. Okay, you know, I can only wonder what's going on with her in the real world when this happens. What? Oh, you were expecting a sketch of some sort. Well, to do what I had planned, I would need an actual camera and potentially a tripod for that sort of thing. Donate to patrons! It also turns out that something known as the Infernal Train has shown up in Alice's mind, screwing with Wonderland as a result. So Alice has to figure out how to stop it, and so the game truly begins. Oh, and we immediately get Shrinking Potion that just lets us shrink manually and whatever we want. Also, she does the hiccups like a drunk. I don't like that. I mean, she's 12, right? Oh. Okay, what's the minimum drinking age for London again? Yeah, just want to be sure. Why is it so low for London? Interestingly, this power doubles as a sort of detective vision a la Arkham games, and is called Shrink Sense, letting us see invisible platforms, hidden pictures, and even lets us see tiny doors that we can go into for collectibles. The collectibles are also bountiful, from teeth, yes, teeth, that lets us upgrade our weapons, bottles that, when all of them are collected, unlock concept art and character models, memories that add in some extra info from Alice's past, and even pig snouts that let you shoot with a special pepper grinder that acts like a sort of chain gun, and when used on the pig snouts, they end up rewarding you with either gold teeth or a pathway to a different collectible of sorts. There's also these challenge rooms called Radula rooms that are either a quiz, a sort of gauntlet, a time survival room, or something that ends up pertaining to an event in the chapter that is located in. By the way, there are only 6 chapters, As if Platinum Games developed this game despite it being a spicy horse that really shouldn't be breathing fire if it's supposed to be spicy because it'd have to have horse meat, not pork dragon! You know, 6 chapters really isn't that long. I mean, how long does it take to beat the game in general anyway? I guess I'll just rescind that joke from earlier. Oh hey, a fiery door. Let's go in and see what pops up.
Our lovely library was a fire trap. A conflagration waiting to happen.
Well, that was quite informative, wouldn't you say? Oh, and we just randomly got a power called Hysteria immediately after this. For what purpose does this exist? There's no build-up for this either. We just had it this whole time, and I don't understand why. I don't know, maybe it's a thing in the first game, but I feel like they should give us a story means to reintroduce it. Kinda like Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, you know? I mean, it'd be like if I just randomly had my goatee shaven off for the rest of the video with no explanation as to why. That'd be silly. Now, while this game is a 3D platformer with action and adventure elements, or vice versa, I'm not entirely sure, there's also chapter-specific mini-games, I want to say? Except they're required, for the most part, and I don't like them. There's the slider puzzles that are in a few chapters, the sub-shoot-em-up section, chess... is just chess, some side-scrolling segments and paintings, and Discount Marble Madness. Although this controls a lot better than Marble Madness ever did. Fight me! In all seriousness, I personally dreaded whenever I had to do one of these sections of a chapter, especially the slide puzzles. I'm sorry, I just don't care for slide puzzles. Speaking of slide puzzles, the slide parts have terrible hit detection with the miasma-like blockades and they're just placed there to screw with you! There's also some DLC for this game, namely in the form of special dresses for Alice to wear that tend to give you some kind of special ability depending on which dress it is, and in a somewhat surprising and yet kind of understandable move, the original American McGee's Alice. I mean, I could review it, but I kinda wanna stream it on my Twitch sometime. Keep up to date with Twitch in the description as well as the archive channel, CSDX gameplay. Actually, now that I think about it, there was some occasional input lag sometimes, such as with the jumping and floating when I press A a third time and still fall to my death. There's also the case with the music sections. Yes, there are music sections. Kinda. Where I know I pressed a button, but it didn't even register. Thankfully, those sections aren't an entire song and it's just 2 or 3 lines each, and yet I still want blood.
No melody should soothe this outrage.
Yeah, no kidding! And that was Alice, Madness Returns. Despite some flaws I had problems with, I liked it. I really did. Despite the problems I brought up before about hit detection and input responses, there was a lot of care put into this game. The story was pretty interesting, and the combat is pretty reminiscent of most 3D Zelda titles, and I mean that in a good way. However, the one thing that truly stands out is the art style and the environment. Everything around you just looks so amazingly gorgeous, even when it gets really messed up with some of the enemies and the characters. However, I did have a few problems with glitches, but it's entirely possible that this is because it's the 360 version that I was playing. I'm gonna go ahead and presume that the best version to play this on is the PC version. Regardless of what system you have, and even despite its flaws, this game is definitely worth your time. Man, that was fun. Now, I'm honestly having trouble deciding whether I do another Zelda game next month or just do whatever. What do you guys think? I'm so lonely.